Everybody, it's your favorite mad woman of the internet coming at you with another coffee talk. How are you guys doing this morning? I have a whole lot of people in my YouTube chat and over there in Periscope. So hey everybody, I has a Panina, a Richo, an MC. I'm doing this from bottom to top because I'm backwards that way. A Seamus, a Gerbil, a Fenrir. I have a Mark Rawlinson over there on my Periscope hanging out. I got a Grillin' Pirate Pete. A Hitsuge, I think this might be a Hitsugi, excuse me. Hitsugi, maybe her first time in my chat. Welcome. The BTS, as they've been here before, so welcome back. And the BTS, it's been a while since I've streamed, it's been a while since I caught y'all. Yeah, it's been a while since I have, streamed on here. This is, my third stream in a row, I think, already, since I started back streaming on my main YouTube channel. So yeah, that's happened. And I am trying to make it a regular occurrence. Me, my curls, with or without my glasses, with my wonderful discoloration and my matching handbags. So, yeah, because, when you're the mad mother of the internet, what do you expect, right? The mom has returned. Okay, so let's get over here. Okay, cool. I will teach you how to set up Periscope, my dear girl. As always, before we get into the nitty-gritty, the really dirty stuff, the Brexit stuff over on the Evernotes that I download into my Evernote so I can highlight the things that I actually want to talk about from the articles, we're going to hit a little thing that I like to wonderfully nickname the government dump. And that's when I go over to my government agencies list on Twitter and we run down what's going on and what they've been tweeting out. Yes, the mad woman speaks. So, first thing on the agenda today is U.S. Commerce Department. The hashtag 2020 census will be the first census to use a powerful new privacy protection system designed for the digital age. U.S. Census Bureau is committed to protecting your privacy during the 2020 census. And this is a brief history of the Census Bureau, of the census and how they've been taking it through the years and how they've been getting samples here, there, and everywhere. No, I wouldn't look good with spiky glasses. I would not look good with spiky glasses. Let me see here if this is going to work here. Because Streamlabs should wake up. I don't know. Anyway, you'll see something scrolling on the bottom right below me on a little sticky note. On a sticky note. So, yeah, I used to, for those of you who don't know, I used to actually work for the Census Bureau and get paid through the Commerce Department. Nope, I didn't turn it on. All right, hang on just a sec. Let me see if I can fix this. Because, I has to fix this. Give it an hour before it gets right. I used to work both in the office as well as in the field. And I love the field work more than I like being stuck in the office because that's just me. I like moving around. I like talking to people. I like knocking on doors and going, "Hi, how are you? Would you like to take a survey, please?" It's very important for we call it the decennial, for everybody to participate in the every 10-year census. However, there's a few tips and tricks I can tell you guys and, give to you to where it won't be as intrusive as you may feel it is. Honey roasted peanuts. Ooh, Seamus, that sounds good. Number one, if they knock on your door, if they get there, that means you probably didn't answer the short or the long form, because they won't send you out for the short form, I don't believe. Just invite them in. If there's any questions that you do not feel comfortable answering during the course of them taking the census in your home, just tell them that you refuse to answer the question, and they are obligated, yes, obligated, ladies and gentlemen, to mark an R on the census form while they're taking your survey. Because you can refuse to answer questions that you don't want to answer. And obviously, if you don't know the answer to the questions, then typing, saying I don't know is a perfectly commendable answer as well. So, let me see if I can't spell now. Let's see, it is intrusive. Yeah. The long form is rather intrusive. It can be because it asks everything. So, you always have that problem, and a lot of people don't like participating in it for that reason. And I don't think the bot's working this morning, so just periodically, if you're on YouTube, look down below for ways to support the channels. And I have another one, somebody else popping in. Pinkalo has joined over there on Periscope. Hello, Pinkalo, how are you? I'm also over on YouTube. So, yep, you can catch me over there too. So that's a little bit about the Census Bureau. You can refuse to answer questions, and you can't say you can say you don't know. It's perfectly acceptable. Hashtag civilians. Less than 10 days left to apply for CDE and CSLP. The time is now. Apply for professional development that will take you to the next stage of leadership and career. Visit the U.S. Air Force, My Peers site, and search CDE to learn more. Apply today. So how to apply? And it also wonderful stuff. Let me see if we can find some really, really big stuff. Let me see here. Here we go. This seems to be a little bit better. Federal Communications Commission. New data shows digital divide is closing and broadband competition is increasing. So we're going to open the PDF. It automatically tweets out on Twitter. So if you look for it on Twitter, you'll find it. New data shows digital divide is closing and broadband competition is increasing. So February 20th, that's today's date, by the way, the Federal Communications Commission's Office of Economics and Analytics, because the government loves our alphabet soup, today released updated data showing that the digital divide substantially narrowed during the first 2 years of Chairman Ajit Pai's leadership of the FCC. Hi, Cynical Lindsay, how you doing? Specifically, from December 2016 to December 2018, the number of Americans without any options for at least 2550 megabytes per second fixed terrestrial broadband service plummeted by 74% from 181.7 million to 47 million. And during that same period, the number of Americans with no options for at least 25.3 fixed terrestrial broadband service fell by 30% from 26.1 million to 18.3 million. The data also showed an increase in competition from December 2018 to December 2018. The number of Americans enjoying more than two options for 23 Mbps fixed broadband service increasing by 52%, Moreover, the number of rural Americans with 2 or more options also increased by 52%. Hey, Richo. I think I said hey to Richo before. So there you go. They're doing their best to get that stuff to everybody. Oops. Wrong tab. That happens. All right, as we scroll down, there's the SEC again. Boris Johnson, I'm deeply saddened to hear of the attack at the London Central Mosque. It's so awful that this should happen, especially in a place of worship. My thoughts are with the victims and all this. Honey, if they treating you like they're treating Trump over here, they're going to jump all over the fact that you think there's only one victim, supposedly. So we may be looking at that today. So we're going to do London Central Mosque. We're going to do a search for that before we get into the nitty-gritty today. U.S. Commerce Department, to accelerate the adoption of emerging technologies such as AI, biometrics, and IoT, Commerce's NIST has released the draft of privacy framework that sets an ethical foundation for data usage. Hello, Blogger Tev 300 over on Periscope. How are you doing this morning? So, from the Federal News Network, we have NIST privacy framework, because once again, they love their alphabet soup, looks to underpin ethical use of artificial intelligence. To accelerate the adoption of emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence, biometrics, and the Internet of Things, the National Institute of Standards and Technology has released the first draft of a privacy framework that sets an ethical foundation for data usage. NIST Director Walter Koppen, also the Undersecretary of Commerce for Standards and Technology, said Wednesday that the framework's first version, which the agency released January 16th, helps set outer boundaries for the rapid expansion of emerging tech industries. But more importantly, he said, striking the right balance between privacy and innovation means enjoying the benefits of innovative products while upholding our country's founding values. Getting privacy right will underpin the use of technologies in the future, including AI and biometrics, quantum computing, the Internet of Things, and personalized medicine. These technologies all will be a big part of our future, Koppen said at the Center for Strategic and International Studies event. For NIST's next step, as outlined in a roadmap to advance the privacy framework, the agency is working to create standards around differential privacy techniques and privacy risk assessment approaches. So that happened. Let me see. Cool. I've muted my site, so I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to put this link in both periscopes in case you guys, in both places, in case you guys, want to click on it and read a little bit more, because sometimes these things take just a little bit longer to go through. And now I mute this so I can't hear myself. All right, so we're going to come over here. You guys are seeing me do this live because I'm a doofus. Anyway, pull this out so you guys are only seeing what I want you to see, because censorship. Yo. And if you believe I censor people, you don't know me. Did I lose it? Nope, that's the Periscope. Hi, Frayne. All right, so there is the link to the Federal News Network in the chat here. Okay, eyes waked up. Don't like it. I don't think most of us like it. Skynet has made me scared of government relying on AI. Yeah. AI can be rather chintzy, to say the least. I'm not particularly fond of it or comfortable of it either. Okay, I hate it when it reloads like this. Okay, NIH. Are you a rare disease patient, caregiver, or advocate with questions or stories to share? Join NIH Director and NCATS NIH Gov Chris Austin, James Gilman, Eleanor Dixon Terry, and Parister, and more for a Twitter chat using NIH Chat tomorrow from 2 to 3 Eastern Standard Time. So if you guys are interested in that. Yeah, I'm dumb. I gotta get used to it because I never streamed on Periscope before, so this is the first time I'm actually doing it. So I have to remember I really don't have to go there, if that makes any sense. I'm a doofus. All right, Mike Pence. The work being done at Hampton University is remarkable because of their hardworking students. Yes, I'm a rare disease. Hampton University was the first HBCU to control a NASA satellite mission and now have the largest freestanding proton therapy center in the world. That is cool. NASA. John Glenn asked for mathematician Katherine Johnson to hand-check the computer-calculated equations of the trajectory of his orbital mission. If she says they're good, Johnson remembers the astronaut saying, then I'm ready to go. So let's open this up. Yep, it's a little bit of Black History Month, but this is kind of cool. I think this is really cool. Let me see. White Sulphur Springs, the hometown White Sulphur Springs, West Virginia. Hired by NACA in 1953, retired, I guess that's supposed to be NASA. Edit NASA, I'm sure you had the people for it. And she retired in 1986. Being handpicked to be one of 3 black students to integrate West Virginia's graduate schools is something that many people will consider one of their life's most notable moments. But it's just one of several breakthroughs that have marked Katherine Johnson's long and remarkable life. Born in White Sulphur Springs, West Virginia in 1918, Katherine Johnson's intense curiosity and brilliance with numbers vaulted her ahead several grades in school. By 13, she was attending the high school on the campus of historically black West Virginia State College. At 18, she enrolled in the college itself, where she made quick work of the school's math curriculum and found a mentor in math professor W.W. Schieffelin Claytor, the 3rd African-American to earn a PhD in mathematics. Katherine graduated with highest honors in 1937 and took a job teaching at a black public school in Virginia. And it's my dog trying to lick leftovers out of a bowl. Oh, no, you're chewing on your chewy. Let me put this over here so you won't hit your chewy against the bowl. Hello, memes. How you doing? She's one of the... I think she is one of the ones that Hidden Figures was made about. I think so. When West Virginia decided to quietly integrate its graduate schools in 1939, West Virginia State's President Dr. John W. Davis selected Katherine and 2 male students as the first black students to be offered spots at the state's flagship school. West Virginia University, Katherine left her teaching job and enrolled in the graduate math program. At the end of the first session, however, she decided to leave school to start a family with her husband. She returned to teaching when her 3 daughters got older, but it wasn't until 1952 that a relative told her about open positions at the all-black West Area Computing Section at the National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics, so it used to be NACA, so that's how much I know. Langley Laboratory, headed by fellow West Virginian Dorothy Vaughn. Katherine and her husband, James Goebel, decided to move the family to Newport News to pursue the opportunity, and Katherine began to work at Langley in the summer of 1953. Just 2 weeks into Katherine's tenure in the office, Dorothy Vaughn assigned her to a project in the Maneuver Loads branch of the Flight Research Division, and Katherine's temporary position soon became permanent. She spent the next 4 years analyzing data from flight tests and worked on the investigation of a plane crash caused by wake turbulence. Ooh, Bigger Tab 300, thank you again for joining. I guess you left and came back to Periscope. Well, welcome back. Let's see. She spent the next 4 years... Oh, here we go. As she was wrapping up this work, her husband died of cancer in December 1956. The 1957 launch of the Soviet satellite Sputnik changed history in Katherine Johnson's life. In 1957, Katherine provided some of the math for the 1958 document Notes on Space Technology. Hi, Ghost Dog. Hello, Tevin Davis. A compendium of a series of 1958 lectures given by engineers in the Flight Research Division and the Pilotless Aircraft Research Division, PARD. Really? PARD? Engineers from those groups formed the core of the Space Task Group, the NACA's first official foray into space travel. And Katherine, who had worked with many of them since coming to Langley, came along with the program as the NACA became NASA later that year. She did trajectory analysis for Alan Shepard's May 1961 mission Freedom 7, America's first human space flight. In 1960, she and engineer Ted Skopinski co-authored Determination of Azimuth Angle at Burnout for placing a satellite over a selected Earth position. A report laying out the equations describing an orbital space flight in which the landing position of the spacecraft is specified. It was the first time a woman in the Flight Research Division had received credit as an author of a research report. In 1962, as NASA prepared for the orbital mission of John Glenn, Katherine Johnson was called upon to do the work that she would become most known for. The complexity of the orbital flight had required the construction of a worldwide communications network linking tracking stations around the world to IBM computers in Washington, D.C., Cape Canaveral, and Bermuda. The computers had been programmed with the orbital equations, blah, 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 that would control the trajectory of the capsule in Glenn's Friendship 7 mission, from blast-off to splashdown. But astronauts were wary of putting their lives in the care of the electronic calculating machines, which were prone to hiccups and blackouts. As part of the pre-flight checklist, Glenn asked engineers to get the girl, Katherine Johnson, to run the same numbers through the same equations that had been programmed into the computer, but by hand, on her desktop mechanical calculating machine. If she says they're good, Katherine Johnson remembers the astronaut saying, then I'm ready to go. Glenn's flight was a success and marked a turning point in the competition between the United States and the Soviet Union in space. When asked to name her greatest contribution to space exploration, Katherine Johnson talks about the calculations that helped sync Project Apollo's lunar lander with the Moon Orbiting Command and Service Module. She also worked on the Space Shuttle and the Earth Resources Satellite and authored or co-authored 26 research reports. She retired in 1986 after 33 years at Langley. Loved going to work every single day, she says. In 2015, at age 97, Katherine Johnson added another extraordinary achievement to her long list. She got the Presidential Medal of Freedom. She earned it. Boy, did she earn it. But remember, boys and girls, women are discouraged from STEM fields. Not just that. Women who are drawn to them are rare. Exactly. Good morning, your boy Pat. How you doing? And that is the biography of Katherine Johnson. And I, too, am going to put this in the chat if you guys want to share it out later. Do your own videos on it for some sort of, for history lessons, because passing on history is always a good thing. Oh, on a quick break. Okay. So we're going to go back to the government dump and keep scrolling. Find ways. Okay, 5 ways to protect your baby from a rare infection that can cause sickness in young infants. Here we go. Yeah, Huawei's coming a little later. Chronobacter infection in infants. Rare but serious illness in infants. Chronobacter infections are rare, but they can be deadly in newborns. Infections in infants usually occur in the first days or weeks of life. About 4 to 6 cases are reported to CDC every year, but this figure may not reflect the true number of illnesses because state health departments are not required to report Chronobacter infections. Chronobacter germs can cause a dangerous blood infection or sepsis to make the lining surrounding the brain and spinal cords swell. Infants 2 months of age or younger are most likely to develop meningitis if they get sick from Chronobacter. Other infants more likely to get sick are those born prematurely and those less able to fight germs and sickness due to illness or medical treatment, such as chemotherapy for cancer. The first symptom of Chronobacter infection in infants is usually a fever accompanied by poor feeding, crying, or very low energy. You should take an infant with these symptoms to the doctor. So there it is. If you need to know more about this or you want to spread it around and share it to everybody, I'm going to pass this in the chat as well. So there's this. We're getting to Huawei. Dink. There we go. I like sharing the links around because not everybody follows the same government entities I do. All right. In 2007, an Ohio woman wired money to an eBay seller to buy a car. The car never arrived. For nearly a decade, the Bay Rob criminal enterprise infected thousands of computers with malware and stole millions. So there's a little bit of history from the FBI, for when the FBI can be competent, I guess. Romanian hackers sentenced. Members of Bay Rob criminal enterprise infected thousands of computers with malware, stole millions of dollars. The hackers were like modern-day John Dillingers, brazenly committing their crimes and repeatedly escaping law enforcement's grasp. But like Dillinger and most other criminals, they eventually slipped up, and the FBI and its internal partners were waiting for them after years of tracking their activities. Auction fraud gets law enforcement's attention. In 2007, an Ohio woman wired thousands of dollars to an eBay seller thinking she was buying a used car. The car never arrived. When she went to her local police department, the listing did not appear on the officers' computers. That's because the woman was on a fraudulent version of the online auction site that mimicked a real one, a result of having unknowingly downloaded malicious software known as malware to her computer. And to thousands of other victims just like her, the website and transactions looked legitimate. But buyers who thought they were wiring money across town were in fact sending money to hackers halfway across the world. The hackers, known as the Bayrob Group, laundered the money via money mules, making it difficult to track. Additionally, if a user on an infected machine went to the help section of the site, they were met with the hackers, not eBay's, customer service. The Bayrob hackers also blocked websites like IC3.gov, the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center, where a user might have gone for help, and before smartphones were so common, the infected computer may have been a victim's only access to the internet. The would-be car buyer, along with many other victims, lost her money because wiring funds lacks the consumer protection of a credit card. Agents estimate each victim lost between $8,000 and $11,000. Yep. At the time, this was really cutting edge, said Special Agent Ryan McFarland, who worked this case out of the FBI's Cleveland field office. These guys did a very good job of staying current with the technologies in the cybercriminal underground. Following the money and the malware, the Bayrob hackers were frustratingly nimble and good at covering their tracks. They used multiple layers of proxy servers to hide their location. Those proxy servers communicated with the command and control servers that talked to the thousands of computers infected. Panina Chan is now on Periscope too. But as the hackers gained more victims, more partners joined the investigation. The FBI worked with numerous law enforcement agencies around the world on this case, as well as with companies such as AOL, eBay, and Symantec. Beginning in 2012, Bayrob Group began to diversify its criminal business as technology advanced. They continued to spread their malware via spam and social media, but they also got into cryptocurrency mining and selling credit card numbers on the dark net. They had all of these infected systems, and they tried to use as many ways as possible to make money from them, McFarland says. So who was shot at the movie theater? Oh, very funny, goes dog. Break finally came when a Bayrob participant accidentally logged into his personal email instead of his criminal one. AOL, who's investigating his abuse of their network, connected the two accounts. That person's personal account, led to online profiles in Romania and on social media, essentially the first action tying one of the suspects to the crimes. Hi, Skep, how you doing? If you hear the puppy in the background, she's trying to be, her 12-pound, very, scary self at 12 pounds, trying to be scary. She tries. God bless her. That small mistake helped set investigators in partnership with the Romanian National Police on a path toward discovering the identities of all three hackers. And after much further investigation, including undercover buys from the group on darknet marketplace Alpha Bay, the FBI had enough evidence to work with Romanian authorities on the arrests. By the time the hackers were arrested in 2016, the Bayrob Group had become one of the top senders of malicious emails. We were essentially taking down this entire infrastructure and arresting the three individuals at one time, McFarland said. And the Romanian National Police were key partners in this effort. They stuck with us year after year. We couldn't have done this without them. Bayrob Group members Bogdan, whose last name I'm not going to attempt, and Radul Maklaus were both convicted on wire fraud, money laundering, and identity theft charges. In December 2019, that name that I'm not going to try was sentenced for 20 years, and Maklaus to 18 years in prison. A third member of the group, Tiberiu Dene, I guess, I butchered it, pleaded guilty to similar charges. He was sentenced in January to 10 years in prison. Yeah, purse-sized dog. Fear me! Morning, Dragon Turtle. While it was years in the making, putting a stop to these prolific thieves was worth the time and effort for the investigators, even when the hackers were as elusive as a gangster on the run. We stuck with it because these guys weren't stopping, McFarland said. They continued to evolve, and they were becoming a bigger and bigger threat. So, that's it for that one. Let's see. Oh, out of the U.S. Navy this morning, you can run, but you won't get far. Hashtag Navy readiness. The Freedom class Littoral, probably mispronounced that, combat ship Hashtag USS Little Rock operates in the Southcom area of responsibility in support of Joint Interagency Task Force South Campaign Martillo, targeting counter-illicit drug operations. So there we go. Here is a shot of the boat. I'm going to go backwards and go slower. Yep. All right. NASA. On this day in 1962, astronaut John Glenn rocketed into space aboard the Mercury capsule Friendship 7 and made history, becoming the third American in space and the first to orbit the Earth. Let's see here. Where is he? I gotta find what I said I was going to search. Where are you? Mr. Johnson, I saw you earlier before this thing. There it is. London Central Mosque. That's what we're going to be looking into before we cover the rest of the stuff today. Because apparently we've got some breaking news. I guess crime does pay. Oh, yeah. Right? All right, let me see here. All right, out of the BBC, and we're going to try a couple of others to see if they all coincide. So this is breaking news. This is 3 minutes ago. London. Excuse me. Hey, Jay Willie. I don't know, Jay Willie. I have no clue. London Central Mosque stabbing. Man is arrested. The victim, who is in his 70s, was found seriously injured after emergency services were called to the London Central Mosque in Park Road near Regent's Park at 15:10 GMT. He was taken to hospital by paramedics where his condition has been assessed as non-life-threatening. Thank goodness. The Met Police and the attack is not being treated as terror-related. In a statement, the mosque said, what are you doing? Mommy loves you too. In a statement, the mosque said the injured man was the muezzin, the person who makes the call to prayer, and he had been stabbed during a seer prayer. Worshippers had apprehended the attacker before police arrived, the statement added. Images from the inside the mosque showed a white man wearing a red hooded top, jeans, and white with bare feet being pinned to the floor by police officers. There's the picture there. One video showed a knife on the floor under a plastic chair. Abi Watik, who witnessed the attack, said the arrested man had been irregular at the mosque for several months, and the muezzin was stabbed once in the shoulder. He was praying behind him, the muezzin, and then he stabbed him. The 59-year-old added to that. Suspect was silent the whole time. The London Ambulance Service said the injured man has been taken to a major trauma center. The service tweeted, "We sent an ambulance crew, a paramedic in a car, and an advanced paramedic practitioner to this incident in Regent's Park. We treated a man at the scene and took him into a major trauma center." Yeah, right? Mikad Versi from the Muslim Council of Britain said he had been told by people inside the mosque that the attack took place while preparations were being made for afternoon prayers. It is deeply concerning that this happened, given other recent attacks elsewhere. Many Muslims are on edge, he said. Prime Minister Boris Johnson tweeted that he was deeply saddened by the stabbing. Yep, we read that earlier. So there is what happened with that. Now, as promised, I'm going to come over here. Yay, and this is let me see if I refresh this, if we'll get something a little more updated, because this is supposed to be a live count. Why is this news? It's just a part and parcel living in the big city. No, I know where that's from. Oh, I know where that's from. Slick, Dragon, slick. Come on, load the page. You can do it. Come on, load the page. You can do it. Come on, it's a little website that could. Come on. All right. As of 9:53 this morning, Central Standard Time, obviously, the current total confirmed with the coronavirus is 75,775 people, with 2,130 deaths, and 16,882 people have recovered from the disease. Most of those people, obviously, in mainland China, because that was, the centralized area of the infection. You also have 16 recovered in Malaysia, 16 recovered in South Korea, 15 apiece in Malaysia and Thailand that have recovered. 12 have recovered in Germany, 8 have recovered in the UK, 7 have recovered in Vietnam, 6 have recovered in Hong Kong, 6 has recovered in Macau. 4 recovered in New South Wales, Australia. 4 recovered Victoria, Australia. 4 recovered in France and the United Arab Emirates. 3 recovered in India. 2 recovered in South Australia. 2 recovered in Russia and Spain and Taiwan, as well as Chicago. 2 recovered from the virus there. 1 recovered from the virus in Belgium, Cambodia, London, Ontario, Canada, Finland, Tibet, mainland China, Nepal, Diamond Princess cruise ship, Philippines, Sri Lanka, and Seattle, Washington. So out of the confirmed cases, we have 74,579 in mainland China, 634 others. I love how they just put others. 104 in South Korea, 94 in Japan, 84 in Singapore, 67 in Hong Kong, 35 in Thailand, 24 in Taiwan, 22 in Malaysia, 16 in Germany and Vietnam, 15 in Australia and the US, 12 in France, 10 in Macau, 9 in the United Arab Emirates, 9 in the UK, 8 in Canada, 3 in Italy, the Philippines, and India, 2 in Iran, Russia, and Spain, 1 each in Nepal, Cambodia, Belgium, Finland, Sweden, Egypt, and Sri Lanka. No, and a partridge in a pear tree, right? I still say that Corona is the main, but yeah, P-Bear calls it Corona-chan. All right, P-Bear calls it Corona-chan. Okay, let me see here. There we are. This is all in China. Let me see if I can get this thing to actually hit me with the entire list over here. There we go. Maybe. All right, we're going to skip all the ones in China. We have 2 deaths in Hong Kong, 2 in Iran. 1 death apiece. There's the cruise ship there. 1 death apiece in France, Japan. Quit showing me China. I know a lot of people are dropping dead in China. God, did I sound very unempathetic. 1 in the Philippines, 1 in South Korea, and 1 in Taiwan. So, but you can see the main concentration is, still right there in the Hubei, in the Hubei province, right there. That's the central one. So you have all this, and it's spread all the way up here in China. I like Wu Flu better. Corona-chan is upon us. We shall all be judged, right? If you guys want to keep track of it yourself, I'm putting the link both in Periscope and on YouTube, so you guys can keep track of it. This is a live count, and from what I have seen, it is accurate thus far. So that's the oops, maybe I should have made it a little bit bigger on the screen. At least I read it, right? I would say they're dropping like flies, but it's really more like, oh, that's just a bad joke. Bad Panina. Bad Panina-chan. Bad Panina-chan. Bad Panina, bad. Hit you with a newspaper. Bad Panina-chan, bad. All right, now we have Evernote. First thing we're going to start with is what's going on in the UK as far as the Brexit stuff is concerned. Pound falls for fourth day as dollar. EU talks offset retail bounce. So, and we're also going to talk about the rebound. Sterling slipped for the 4th straight day against the dollar on Thursday as the U.S. currency's broad-based strength and jitters over the start of Britain's trade talks with the EU offset data showing a strong rebound in UK retail sales, which is the next article we're going to be going through. The currency ticked higher immediately after the release. Earlier, it had fallen to 10-day lows of $1.2884, but the modest move fizzled quickly, leaving the pound 0.1% lower at 1.2908 GBP equals D3. So that's what we're going. That's what you get from nationalizing healthcare. Yeah, free Hong Kong. Exactly. Here we go. Here's the UK sales. As we can see the chart here, as the sales are rebounding, I think they're, spending by British shoppers grew more than expected at the start of the year, putting an end to the longest retail sales contraction on record, according to official data. January's rise, which came in the wake of a decisive general result in December, was higher than the 0.7% forecast by economists, polled by Reuters, and reversed a contraction that had spanned the previous 5 months, the longest period without growth on record. The rise suggests that, by ruling out a no-deal Brexit on January 31st, December's election result gave consumers the confidence to reopen their wallets, said Paul Dales, chief UK economist at Capital Economics. The rise in consumer spending has been supported by record high employment rates. Gee. More people working means more people buying stuff. Who'da thunk? But growth prospects for retailers could be limited by slowing earnings growth and rising inflation. So we'll have to keep an eye on that, won't we? Industry data released last week also showed improved retail spending in January, reflecting increased consumer confidence after the general election. Now, while this is going on with the dollar and retail sales and stuff, over in the EU, they're having a bit of a problem with money and funding because the UK said, fuck y'all. Fuck you guys, I'm going home. European Union leaders will clash this week over the EU's 2021 to 2027 budget as Britain's exit leaves a €75 billion hole in the bloc's finances just as it faces costly challenges such as becoming carbon neutral by 2050. Oh, you relied too much on one country? Could it be that your problems and your woes are because you had most of your eggs in the same basket? Or am I just talking out of my ass? For the coming 7-year cycle, the starting point for talks is 1.074% of the bloc's gross national income, or 1.09 trillion euros. By contrast, EU national budgets claw in 47% of annual output on average. Still, disputes over hundreds of percentage points have kept EU and government officials busy for the last 2 years, and many diplomats remain skeptical that a deal will be reached on Thursday and Friday when leaders meet in Brussels. Well, you know, it's a huge change. What entity in the United States that many of us hold in contention get most of their money from the U.S.? That's the United Nations, isn't it? I think it's the United Nations. Could you ever extrapolate what would possibly happen if the U.S. said, fuck you, and we took our money and left the United Nations? Interesting. The EU budget gets money from customs duties on goods entering its single market, a cut of sales tax, antitrust fines imposed by the EU on companies, and from national contributions. It spends money on subsidies for EU farmers, on equalizing living standards across the bloc, border management, research security, and various non-EU aid programs. Some net contributors, the Frugal Four, of the Netherlands, Austria, Sweden, and Denmark, want to limit the budget to 1% of GNI. Germany, the biggest contributor, is prepared to accept a bit more, but 1.07 is too high for Berlin. Yep, the UN is shit in a crock pot, exactly, I agree. The European Commission has proposed 1.1%, and the European Parliament, which will vote on the budget, wants 1.3% for net beneficiaries such as Poland. Larger is better, and greed is good. Greed is what makes people go, screw you, I'm going home. Dragon Turtle, the EU is the Fourth Reich, non-liberal, globalist boogaloo. Changed my mind. I can't change your mind because I agree with you. What Germany couldn't do by force, the EU is doing with money and more subtle means. For many Central and Eastern European countries, EU cohesion funds are crucial. Diversity is our strength. The costs related to Brexit and other challenges should be more equitably distributed, Polish Prime Minister, whose name I'm not even going to attempt, wrote in the Financial Times, adding this was not the case due to proposed deep cuts for cohesion policies and the common agricultural policy. But with less money coming in because of Brexit, some net contributors argue there is simply less to share around. Well, you know, you put most of your eggs in one basket. Shit happens. Shit happens. I'm just saying. Shit happens, y'all. Alright, here we go. Trump's chief of staff warned the UK against Huawei ahead of meeting Boris Johnson's most important aide. That's right. We're arguing with Johnson. The Trump administration is keeping the heat up on the UK to freeze out Huawei, weeks after the UK announced it would allow Huawei to participate in building its 5G network. Not too bright, Boris. Go find squirrel. During a speech at the Oxford Union on Wednesday, Acting Chief of White House Staff Mick Mulvaney said the U.S. is very much concerned about the decision, per The Guardian. Our governments share a tremendous amount of security information, Mulvaney told the audience. We are very much concerned that integrity of that information is hardwired into your computer systems. And if you folks go forward with the decision to include Huawei, it will have a direct and dramatic impact on our ability to share information with you. Period. End of story. Mulvaney made these comments one day before a scheduled meeting with Dominic Cummings, Boris Johnson's top aide. Mitch, the EU is a hoax. It's nothing but a tax scam disguised as an abbreviation. Yeah, pretty much. I agree. The Trump administration has spent the last year furiously lobbying its allies to exclude Huawei from their 5G infrastructure, as it claims the Chinese tech company acts as a proxy for the Chinese government to spy. So, and then we come over here. Furious. Because they're furious. Boris officials visit London. U.S. officials visit London to hand Boris Johnson a bitching? Beating? I don't know. Over Huawei 5G approval. U.S. officials are set to give Boris Johnson a furious, whatever the fuck that word is supposed to be, over the UK's decision to allow Huawei a role in the UK's 5G network, it was reported today. The Trump administration is furious that a company believes is a security risk because it's a security risk. It's kind of been proven to be a bit of a security risk, just a bit, has been approved for a role in the advanced telecommunications network. With Mr. Trump on Sunday warning that intelligence sharing could be put at risk. Well, it could be. It could be. Very well could be. And many backbench Tories angry about the controversial decision announced by Mr. Johnson and the Commons are set to meet in the U.S. team. It's kind of refreshing that they're behind him on this point. I wonder how long it's going to take them to realize that they're actually agreeing with Trump. Because that's what's happening here. Because if the Tories are angry about the controversial decision that Boris is doing with or without their approval, aren't they kind of by proxy agreeing with Trump? Excuse me. Let me see. Former Tory leader Lane Duncan Smith told The Telegraph, for the past 2 decades, we've cozied up to China in a way that is becoming an embarrassment. A lot of big countries are cozying up to China. I mean, God, look what's happening over here because, we've got to get the China box office, so there's a lot of stuff we can't put in the movies. Oh, Jesus, fuck. The American ambassador to Germany, Richard Grenell, said the president told him to make clear any nation who chooses an untrustworthy 5G vendor will jeopardize our ability to share intelligence and information at the highest level. Well, he's not wrong. Mr. Johnson gave the go-ahead for the company to help build 5G in January, despite concerns by allies, including the U.S., it will be subject to tough restrictions such as being barred from the core network and a maximum 35% market share. So that's what's going on so far with Brexit and all that stuff. Let's go back over to Chrome and see if we can find any interesting news. Let me see. Listies, government agencies. Nope. All right, let's come over here and see what we can find in the news. Let me put this up here. I'm going to put this on the screen. Now that I have got the right tab open. That's not the right tab. Oh, hello there. I closed that, you dip. And now we have to do this and do this over again. Boop. There we are. All right, here we go. Don't let them tell you that's blow up, right? Panina, let me see. AFD voted for a politician in the Christian Democrats, Merkel's party, and he was attacked for that and forced to step down. That's what would happen if Trump said he agreed with something they didn't. And, well, I mean, the Tories agreeing with Trump, but yeah, I get your picture. I get the picture. Maybe the Wu flu is healing to cut away the Chinese influence, as horrible as that is to say. Oh, what's the Chinese word for bye-bye? I don't know. Yeah, it's a lot of shit. It is a lot of shit. Okay, let me see here. Winners and losers for the Democratic debate in Las Vegas. We may come back to that. Can a video game save a life? African refugee puts players in his race for survival. That sounds interesting. Let's take a look at that. Let me see. It's literally that South Park episode where Jim Bob told the Klan to just advocate for things they didn't want so people would oppose them. Yeah, true. Can a video game save a life? African refugee puts players in his race for survival. The goal of Lawal Mayin's video game is to survive the horrific ordeal of a refugee, an experience that his family knows well, but the 25-year-old developer's ambition is to change the world. That kung flu. Mayin, who was born as his family traveled 250 miles to escape South Sudan's second civil war, hopes his game Salam will give players a better understanding of what it means to be homeless, hungry, and on the run. I was homeless and hungry. I just wasn't on the run. 2 out of 3 is not bad, right? A lot of people don't understand the journey of a refugee. And if I asked my mom, she'd slap me across the head and said I'm not a refugee. I flew. Said Mayin, 25, who and spent his first 22 years in a refugee camp in northern Uganda before moving to the United States. It was a journey of life and death, he said, recalling family stories about bomb attacks, wild animals, and how babies were abandoned by parents who could no longer care for them. Now, head of his own video game company in Washington, Mayin believes that gamification, where participants make decisions unlike the passive experience of watching a movie, puts ordinary people in the shoes of a refugee. Salam, an Arabic greeting meaning peace, enables users who have never had to flee a war-torn country to take a virtual trek to a peaceful environment if they can dodge hostile troops and find enough food and water. While the game is free to play, when participants need to buy food, water, or medicine for their virtual characters, they can make in-app purchases that will go to real-life refugees. Real-life refugees. Okay. Correct me if I'm wrong by putting an X in the chat. If I'm right, put a 1 in the chat. But hasn't the word refugee been conflated with another term? Salam is going to be the first ever game that is going to bridge the virtual world and the reality on the ground, he said. When someone buys food in the game, you're actually buying someone in a refugee camp food. But Mayin also has a long game in mind, hoping that Salam will enlighten today's teens when they become the next generation of policy makers. Can the players collect weapons and fire back? No, I don't think so. When they're making policy, they'll already understand what refugees face just through playing my game, he said. That's actually how we change the world and how we can be able to use the industry for food. Growing up in a refugee camp, Mayin had never seen a computer until one day at age 12 he reported to the camp's registration center. It was a moment that actually helped me understand, whoa, I want to use this one day. Okay, I'm going to pop into my voice chat for my stream. So, Mitch, if you want to pop in and put in your 2 cents, by all means, sir, you are more than welcome to do so. Yes, sir. Since you're saying I'm wrong, so growing up, let me see. It was a moment that actually helped me to understand. Okay, wait. For the next 3 years, his mother, who made the character in Salam, Worked tirelessly to stash away $300 to buy him a laptop, which he now keeps in a glass display case in his apartment. Kind of like the first dollar you ever own. Yeah, that's kind of my suspicion, too. That is kind of my suspicion as well. That not all the money is going to go where it's supposed to go. That's why, you always have to be iffy on these things. 3 members of Congress endorsed Bloomberg after raucous debate. Can we guess which 3? Can we guess which 3? Oh, no, we can't, because that totally surprised me. I thought it was going to be the idiots. Josh Gottheimer, Nita Lowey, and Pete Aguilar all pledged their support to the billionaire, giving Bloomberg a total of 15 congressional endorsements, second to only former Vice President Creepy Joe, who has more than 3 times that amount. Wow. I just really... Mr. Nanny State himself. Ironically, one of the live refugees, I thought they meant refugees from real... Right? Oh! Alright, well, take this as a grain of salt, but I'm reading this from Russia Today. This just in... At 1734 Russia time, I guess, Roger Stone sentenced to 40 months in prison. Longtime political operative and Trump confidant Roger Stone has been sentenced to 6 years in prison for perjury and obstruction of the Russiagate probe in a process marked by controversy and accusations of partisanship. It's like, okay, what's partisanship? Am I going to be arguing with this article? Am I? Am I really? Really? Am I going to be? Because I'm feeling an argument. Judge Amy Berman Jackson sentenced Stone to 40 months in prison for obstruction of justice, another 18 months for witness tampering, and 12 months for making false statements to Congress. But the sentences are to run concurrently, so the maximum time Stone would spend in prison is 3.5 years. Mr. Tax the poor so they can't spend money on bad things. Right. She also assessed a $20,000 penalty for what she argued was wasting the government's time and resources by misleading the Russiagate investigation. Oh boy. Jackson has previously thrown the book at former Trump campaign manager Paul Manafort and Dutch lawyer Alex von der Zwaan as part of the Russiagate prosecutions pursued by special counsel Robert Mueller's team. She argued on Thursday that there was nothing phony about the probe. My nose. Bullshit! Damn it. That allergy just... Let me read that again and see if it happens again. She argued on Thursday that there was nothing phony... Bullshit! Yeah, it happened again. God damn it. About that probe, and that the U.S. House of Representatives had a duty to inquire about how documents from the DMC wound up in the hands of WikiLeaks. Ask Hillary Killington. I'm sure she knows. Oh, that's right. Anybody that asks her kind of winds up committing suicide. And now they're going over here. 3.5 years. Didn't hack. Roger Stone. Yep, Roger Stone's all over the place. Roger Stone is now all over the place. Thank you, Mims. Thank you, Mims. Is she going to find Mueller for that 3-year waste of time? Probably not. Mueller. It's Mueller. It's Mueller. Let me see. Wall Street and .com collide. Morgan Stanley will buy retail brokerage E-Trade for $13 billion. Oh, fuck. Okay, anybody that does stocks and bonds, listen up. Doing that stock trade, Morgan Stanley to buy E-Trade for $13 billion with a B dollars. That's with a B, y'all, with a B. Morgan Stanley, the investment bank for millionaires, big businesses, and mega mergers, because, we're trying to be objective, is buying E-Trade Financial, an online brokerage that encouraged waves of regular investors to get into the market with ads featuring its talking spokes baby. And an orangutan on an upside-down 5-gallon plastic bucket dancing during, Super Bowl. Allergy against bullshit is kicking. I know, right? That pesky allergy just pops up. The roughly $13 billion all-stock deal will be one of the biggest deals on Wall Street since the financial crisis more than a decade ago, and it would mark the latest chapter in Morgan Stanley's transformation from a scrappy deal-doing stock trading investment bank to a more well-rounded financial firm, more reliant on its asset and wealth management businesses. E-Trade will bring with it 5.2 million client accounts, $360 billion in retail client assets, and a pool of customers who may become wealthier and use more of Morgan Stanley's full-service offerings. Morgan Stanley has 3 million client relationships and $2.7 trillion in client assets. The deal also gives E-Trade some shelter during a time of massive disruption in the retail brokerage industry. Its rivals, Charles Schwab and TD Ameritrade, are in the midst of their own merger, and the industry is still absorbing the latest blows from its price war. Brokerages have made it free to trade in U.S. stocks and exchange traded funds online, slashing their commissions to zero in hopes of attracting and keeping customers. Brokerages still make money from account fees and interest earned on customers' cash, but the price war has pummeled revenues. So not only is E-Trade and Morgan Stanley merging, but Charles Schwab and TD Ameritrade are in the midst of their own merger too. So if these four entities merge into two different entities, how many stockbroker firms are we going to have left? I think that's a valid question, because as the field shrinks, there's more of a chance of a monopoly happening with these brokerage firms. I mean, you know, there's always that possibility. Let's see, I'm trying to find a clip from the thingy last night, from the debate last night, when they were all hitting Mr. Bloomberg. Mr. Nanny State, because he's Mr. Nanny State, because I shall pass a law telling everyone they can't drink more than 16 ounces of soft drinks. Going to make the entire state smoke-free. Because it's easy to give people a ticket in the middle of New York for smoking out of doors. Because I am Bloomberg, and I am a complete idiot. What? That's an X-rated article. I can't read that on stream. Whoopsie. Not going to read that. British market report, Maddy Coffee Fuel is now reporting. Right. Actually, it's Gloria von Claptrap. Thank you very much. My name is Gloria von Claptrap, here with the financial news in the morning. Reuters, judge says unnecessary... And there's somebody... Oh, that must be hubby. Hopefully that's hubby, because I'm not expecting any more deliveries. Let me see. Judge says it's Oh, this is a different thing. Judge says unnecessary to give President Trump's longtime advisor Roger Stone 7 to 9 years in prison. Okay. Oh, yeah. All right. Well, okay, here we go. Victoria's Secret to be sold and become private company. Interesting. That is true for all the industry at this point. If you have more businesses popping up that aren't owned by the same people. Exactly. Victoria's Secret beset by falling sales and uncomfortable questions about its billionaire founder, who has run the company for 5 decades, is being sold. The company owner, L Brands, said the private equity from Sycamore Brands will buy 55% of Victoria's Secret for about $525 million. The Columbus, Ohio company will keep the remaining 45% stake. Shares of L Brands fell 2% in early morning trading Thursday. The selling price signifies a marked decline for a brand with hundreds of stores that booked about $7 billion in revenue last year. Sales at its stores are in decline because competition is increasing and tastes are changing. Victoria's Secret suffered a 12% drop in the same-store sales during the most recent holiday season, L Brands said Thursday. The same-store sales declined 10% at Victoria's Secret during the fourth quarter. That's because land whales are trying to fit themselves in a size 4. And they're bitching because Victoria's Secret doesn't have land whales walking their runways. Hold on, I gotta go unlock a door. I'll be right back. Yep. The hubby is home from his training day. We no longer live in capitalism, not primarily anyway, as some combination of socialism and corporatism. Yeah, you can look at it that way. Can't argue with you there. All right, let's give a shout out to this little piece of bull crap. Okay.
What a mess. Who's about it?
All right, I muted the tab, which is why nobody can hear it.
The only one here that I think that's ever started a business. Is that fair? Okay. The only one here that I think that's ever...
I'm sure he's not the only one on the stage that has started a business. I mean, we know Bernie hasn't started a business. He likes living off that state buck. Let's see here. As far as here we go. We are going to take a look at the Australian brush fires. Australia weather. We've gone from hell to high water. Australia's brush fire crisis drew worldwide attention, but it wasn't...
We're all on edge.
Shh. But it wasn't the only extreme weather event to plague the nation in recent months. Drought, dust storms, fires, and floods are normal during an Australian summer, but the severity and duration of these events made this season one of the worst people can remember. People around the country told the BBC what it was like to live through these events and how they feel about this becoming their new normal. Okay, somehow I don't agree with the new normal. To be fair, business and scam have different meanings. Right, exactly. I agree.
You don't know what weather's going to come next.
These things are supposed to be once in a lifetime that just kind of keep happening.
The weather is never perfect and it never will be perfect, but hopefully it's never as bad as this again.
We have good years, we have not so good years, it's just the way it goes.
I don't want to accept that this is the new normal.
It just... One's in the chat if you think they're alluding to quote-unquote climate change. AKA global warming. Don't want to accept that this is the new normal.
We've pretty much just gone from hell to high water.
The drought's impacted us with no harvestable crops for the last 2 years, even though we've had all the input costs, so a massive financial loss for us.
Let's see, Dragon Turtle. It is true that we construct the world around us in our heads, but they seem to believe that just because we do not see 100% reality, it is all subjective and we can change. Anything without consequences, aka fat people, would be just as healthy, attractive, numerous, if more so, if not for the evil society monster from forever ago. Yeah, I mean, I know you're referring back to the whole Victoria's Secret thing, and, you know, it's just, there's the whole body positivity movement, to me, is just giving people that have struggled all their lives with their weight a reason to say fuck it and not give a shit anymore. To stop working on themselves, to stop bettering themselves, to stop striving for being a healthy human being, and just eating what is ever in front of their face. I currently, the last time I weighed myself, because I don't have a scale, I weighed 210 pounds. I am 5'4". I feel grotesque because I am over 200 pounds. I have never in my life been over 200 pounds. And I'm putting a stop to that. Not because I've gone to a doctor and they've told me I need to go on a diet. Not because society is telling me that I am overweight and out of the norms. But because I look at myself in the mirror when I step out of the shower and I know that I'm at least 210 pounds and I don't like what I look like in the mirror. Simple. And I know it's going to take a lot of work, a lot of dedication, a lot of willpower and stuff in order for me to get to my ideal weight. Now, my target weight is about 150 pounds. So right off the bat, you guys realize I'm trying to lose 60 pounds. Most people would say somebody that's 5 foot 4 inches needs to weigh 135 pounds. I have a medium bone structure, which means if I were to get down to what they say I need to get down to, 135 pounds, I would look like a skeleton walking. You'd be able to see my collarbones. I would be extreme on the opposite side of the scale. I would be perfectly comfortable and content at 150 pounds. Ask your doctor if vegetable weight loss laxatives are right for you. That's funny. But yeah, it's gotten absolutely just ridiculous nowadays. With this whole body positivity, and I call it bullshit because it is. Because you're just giving people excuses to not take care of themselves. Seriously. That's all you're doing. You know, oh, I'm 400 plus pounds, and it's really, really hard for me to do this, and it's really, really hard for me to do that, and it's really, really hard for me to lose weight, so I'm just going to be lazy and not do any of that, and body positivity. Woo! It's not the way it works. You know? Here we go. This is LoneStarGunRights.live. Please take this with a grain of salt. I have not vetted this site. So keep that in mind. I have not vetted this site. 6 days ago, they released on their site, allow guns or compensate shooting victims. Arizona approves gun-free zones financial liability bill. A Senate panel in Arizona approved a bill that would make gun-free zones liable for firearm-related injuries sustained by people within such places. Republican Senator David Gowan introduced the proposal indicating that gun-free zones had to protect law-abiding citizens or allow them to protect themselves. This would allow people to sue for damages when their loved ones sustain injuries or lose their lives from gunshots in gun-free zones. It's just a simple bill that says if a government creates gun-free zones which prohibit a law-abiding citizen from defending themselves, then if harm comes to them because of that policy, that entity will be held liable for the damages. Senator Gowan said, if you have a policy like this, you protect them or allow them to protect themselves, or there will be consequences. You know what? I don't have a problem with this law. I don't have a problem with this law at all. As a matter of fact, I think this is a pretty fucking good law. Arizona Citizens Defense League and Republican lawmakers welcomed the proposal, while League of Arizona Cities and Towns opposed it, of course, because most gun-free zones are what? School zones. So, if a shooting were to happen at a school, which happens to be a gun-free zone, who would be liable for damages? Not much math needs to be done there. The proposal passed with a 4-3 vote and will head to the full Senate. The state of Michigan has a similar bill, which was introduced by State Representative Gary Eisen, Republican, St. Clair Township, on September 17, 2019. The Michigan House Bill 4975 sought to remove immunity from prosecution for gun-free zones when people get shot in such places. The bill was referred to the Committee on Judiciary. Most mass shootings take place in gun-free zones because criminals do not respect gun-free posters. So far, I agree with this website because it's true. gun-free zones doesn't mean somebody with a gun is going to get to the sign and go, oh, I'm not supposed to have a gun here. Let me go back home. I can't shoot anybody. It's a gun-free zone. That's not the way it happens. That's not the way any of this shit works. Gun-free zones, as we all know, is an open invitation for criminals to shoot people because they know in these gun-free zones there's no way for these people to protect themselves if they were to open fire. If gun control groups believed in the safety of gun-free zones, they would not oppose having such pieces of legislation. Again, I agree. Such groups are interested in passing gun control laws just to make a political statement rather than ensure the security of residents. Hopefully having financial liability will make them reconsider the effects of the policies they endorse. Yeah, I don't have any problems with this article, really. I agree. So this Michigan and Arizona that are trying to push the law through, I have no problems with the law. Now, obviously, local legislatures and state legislatures are probably going to have a problem with this bill. As I already previously said, most gun-free zones are schools. National parks, I think, are gun-free zones. So, yeah. Yeah. Of course they're going to have a problem with it. Okay. Bigger Tip is back over there on Periscope. So, yeah. I don't have any problems with that. Let me see if we can find something else to talk about, because we've got about 15 minutes. All right. Let me see. Doesn't want to be involved. Ugh. Having more guns lowers violence for two reasons. Number one, it's like with no weapons, you can hit them, but everyone can hit you. It's also more equalizing. Two, it's like a mini version of Mad with the new... Yeah, it is. It is. Let me see here. Let me see. Churches and schools are gun-free zones more often than not. Let me see here. Yeah, she's an idiot. We already know that Pocahontas is an idiot. Been one for years. Let's see here. Ugandan courts. Kerry fires back on accusation he violated the Logan Act. Well, motherfucker, you and Obama did all sorts of shit it was hard to keep up with. You may have and don't remember it. Wait a minute, who is that? That's Kerry. Oh, that's Kerry. Fuck you, Kerry. Just shut up. Just pick up your foot, put it in your mouth, go sit in the corner, you'll be fine. You and all those other people on your side tend to, have this foot and mouth disease. Let me see here. All right, London. All right, so I think we're back to this. So hi. Having more guns. Yeah. So going back to. Oh, let me shorten this up because I never fixed this chat box from the other day, did I? No. Let's make this a little bit shorter. Also didn't change that, but who cares? All right. So, this evening, I'm still trying to decide whether or not I want to do a watch party in the gaming Discord for a movie, or if we're going to continue with our anime from 6:30 to 8:30. Or, I don't know what's going to happen there. I know tomorrow the game stream has been moved up to between 2 and 2:30 in the afternoon, because I have tried streaming on YouTube on Friday evenings, and I've tried streaming on Twitch on Friday evenings, and apparently there's a problem with Spectrum's bandwidth in the Dallas area on Friday evenings, because it's just non-stop buffering, and then it drops the signal, and then all this other bullcrap is going on, and it's too much stress, and it's not a really good experience for you guys, and it's really stressful and frustrating for me, because I know I want to stream, and I want to stream good content for you guys. So, and I can't do that when it's buffering constantly. Dragon Turtle, some things should probably be gun-free, like crowded nightclubs with the chaos law. Abiding gun owners would likely shoot each other because gun, but they should then provide professional security. Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of these school shootings, and those of the people in the live chat who know me, when I say school shootings, I mean the mass shootings that have occurred in the schools. I don't mean the one kid shoots another kid and then it's done and over with. I mean the real mass shootings is because either there was a failure in the system to protect the students. The student at risk fell through the cracks. Nobody took any of the red flags seriously. Therefore, he got, he slipped through the system and was able to do what he did. But, regardless of what happened in each of those mass shooting cases, everything had one thing in common, and that's they all happened in schools, and all schools were gun-free zones. Which means a lot of the security officers probably didn't have firearms either. Or resource officers, or whatever you want to call them. So, there's always that. Let me see, what else? I am going to try and put out a few short videos on the news channel tomorrow. I'm also going to be working on a script for the House of Geek. Well, 2 different scripts, I would say, because I got to start playing around with Gab again. About how to social media market on Twitter and Gab. I've got to update a few things. I'm also still working on finishing up the editing of my novel and then looking for cover art at reasonable prices. Now, I know I have to, premium money for premium art. I know, I'm not stupid, But still, I have to work within a budget in order to get my first novel out. And when it is, coming out, I will let you guys know when the launch party is. And I will be hyping that sucker up because it will be a stream, and I will be streaming it both on Periscope and YouTube, because I get a bigger audience on YouTube. And simulcasting it is just a whole lot easier from YouTube and Periscope, and so there is that. So keep an eye to the ground there. I hope you saw all the stuff cycling. If not, you guys can follow me at MWM Media Studio on Twitter. And hit my profile, and you will find the links to my blog, which will give you the links to everything else, and including how to support the content that I, make on this channel. Tuesdays and Thursdays, set now, Central Standard Time, on this main channel and on Periscope, is going to be your your government dump twice a week, as well as your current events. And if you want me to... Hello, everybody. I just got another phone call from Mr. Oh, good Lord. I'm not reading that out loud. If there is a particular news story that you want read or researched to be read on the stream, my DMs are open on Twitter. If we share a Discord, you can DM me through Discord. I'll be more than happy to take a look at it, research it, and the like. Nope, the Tolkien stream is still going on the Geek Channel, noon Central Standard Time, so be on the lookout for that. I've got to ask my 2 teachers, both Skep and the Lovable Sage, what I have to read to, because I have no clue. Because right now, the next thing is not any history timeline-wise per se, but it's the story of Barian and Luthien, so I've got no... I have no clue. So I got to talk to them and see, if they can put me on the right track, if we're eventually going to get to that. But no, every Sunday there's going to be a breakdown of the Silmarillion until we're done with that, and then we're going to find another topic to skip to, or to go to. So yeah, but this evening, probably at 6:30 Central Standard Time, keep your eyes and ears out. If you want to be in my Geek Discord, let me know. I can drop an invite in the live chat. And we will either be watching anime... I don't want you to read it out loud. we'll either be watching anime or a movie tonight in the watch party in the Discord. Okay? So, until next time, my friends, thank you very much for coming and the wonderful conversation I've had with you guys in the live chats. For those of you that are typing in the chats, be good, guys. Behave. But if you can't behave, at least be good at it. Just don't get caught. Until next time, guys. Bye.